And welcome back, everybody, once again to the PCS Summer Split. We are rounding out week number 2 here, and we've definitely had a little bit of spice in the sauce. Things have started heating up in the PCS. Hey, everybody, I am Pyrotechnics, joined on this broadcast by none other than Nightstar. We started from this one, we're bringing it back to this one. But before we get underway, Frank, I do want to take a moment. Let's shout out our wonderful sponsor, CTBC Bank. Thank you for always being up by our side and making it possible for this whole shindig to happen. Now, Nightstar, we got some potential bangers on the docket for today, but we had some surprises yesterday too. It's been really exciting week 2 in the PCS.
Yeah, absolutely. This yesterday definitely brought its surprises, right? Frankie Sports finding the upset, really cool to see. I mean, we saw Monday that was sort of the conversation about the squad, right? Where Frankie Sports, hey, they've shown promise. It's time for they're ready to enter the discussion, and yesterday we saw them actually enter that discussion.
Yeah, it's really huge to see the upset they pulled off, and to take out a team like Beyond Gaming as well is no mean feat. We know we had some hopes for this Frank Esports squad, no longer the ragtag group that had come together at the last second. Not only did they get themselves a real logo, they got themselves some real team synergy, and they have definitely been stepping it up. I think this is a team that are going to be able to maybe make a good run in the playoffs. I think it's a really exciting time to see them. Other teams we were hoping to see step up, there's still some time. We still seen some sparks in the Impunity roster. I think even Sem9 making a few changes. We'll see if they're able to find themselves a win. But let's go ahead and go actually over the results, because I definitely really want to call out not just that last game, but also the fact that Deep Cross Gaming, after struggling a bit, they stepped up and got a win in the J-Team universe up against the side of Flying Oyster.
Yeah, incredibly important win for DCG, as they've been struggling against the upper echelon of opponents, the other two that you would factor in when it comes to taking the championship or securing a world spot in PSG Talent and J-Team. They did struggle mightily against those two. So for them to be able to pull out this win against Flying Oyster reinserts themselves into that conversation for potential contenders.
And this makes the standings pretty interesting. Right now, we are at a point where there is only one undefeated team in the league, and it's not PSG Talon, it's Taipei J-Team. They've had 5 games, 5 wins. They've had a few close calls, most notably against, I believe it was Frank Esports.
Yep.
And then just below them, it's Megabank Beyond Gaming, PSG Talon with 1 loss apiece. Then the J-Team universe takes over. CFO, Deep Cross Gaming right down there, joining Frank, who have been on the up and up, followed by Impunity, who are holding on to a lone 7th place, MFT alone in 8th. And Duish and Sem9 are still in the hunt for that win, but I do feel like our Malaysian representatives are looking like they are the better team to try and take their first victory.
Yeah, Sem9 do seem like they are figuring things out here. And for Duish team, the squad is in a much different process of trying to figure things out. But today's games, we are going to start off with MFT, who have 1 win and trying to make sure they keep Sem9 winless. But this is probably their best opportunity here for Sem9. And later on in the day, I think this is where things do get more exciting, right? We've got Frank Esports, Deep Cross, that has a lot of implications for the standings and where these teams are right now. And then closing things out, PSG Talon and J-Team also taking a rift. So we've got really exciting games today.
Oh yeah, you'll definitely want to stick around for all 5 because there is massive potential. And I'm glad you talked about the PSG J-Team matchup, because it's interesting coming into this. Obviously, J-Team have the better record, but man, PSG Talon, they're looking so strong. We get to see Gory, the hot shot, coming in, being picked up. Not as a rookie, because he does have some experience, including most recently in the LPL against Uniboy, a player that also has LPL experience, but they've never met Nightstar until today.
Yeah, a little bit ironic, right? Because Zagori joined the league right when Uniboy left the league, so they kind of just passed right by each other. It should be a very exciting game, given that both of those mid laners mean quite a bit to their how their team play out. Uniboy was instrumental last split because he was probably their main win condition along with Korea. This time, this split starting out, yes, he's still a big factor, but bot lane, it feels like it's getting a little bit more involved. So less of a burden for him. And on the flip side, for the side of PSG, Gory has been pretty much the win condition, right? When it comes to these team fights, he's been the big factor carrying the Mo for the line.
Absolutely. But that's for later in the day. Let's go ahead and talk about our first match on the docket. It is Meta Falcon team. Only one win for this squad, but they are trying to find another, and it will be one of the weaker squads to try and face up against one of the better opportunities. And they're still keeping Ren Hao in the roster, so they've now basically split time between their main jungler of last split, 665, and Ren Hao, who previously was a support substitute. They call this the reverse Enzo.
Yeah. It's the support player going into the jungle. And at first I thought it was more of a, hey, Ren Hao's just here to keep the spot warm, you know, maybe something's not quite clicking with 665. But now that we're seeing him actually get a little bit more time, maybe Ren Hao has something over 665 as far as like working well with the team, perhaps in-game communication wise. But for Sem9, this is yet another change to try and dig up that first win. They've moved Ashin from the support role into the mid lane, and they've brought last split support player and Felia back into the roster. Of course, Felia much better in lane. The issue was sometimes when he started out team fights, it was kind of on different pages with the rest of the squad. And for Ashin to come into the mid lane, this is a big question mark, Pyra.
Oh yeah. I don't normally see supports coming into the mid lane role. And keep in mind, Ashin had started this split as their support, but had previously been a coach going back even to like the Berjaya Dragons days for this the squad and a number of these players, including Arashi. So this is going to be an interesting one. We will actually be comparing the top lane, though. We didn't even get a chance to talk about it because I think these are probably the two most exciting players on their team. No Name has come in and has made a bit of a splash on a team that has not had a lot to be excited about. And Taco in the spring split was just an absolute beast for his team. The meta shifted a little bit, but he seems to have adapted better than most of his squad. We've seen the Jax come in. We have seen the Kale as well. And I do think, on the whole, No Name has put up a little bit better numbers, but I think this is a pretty solid matchup, and I'm excited to see who's going to come out on top.
Yeah, for both of these squads, they've really lacked a lane with a win condition. So the top lane has been the key factor in actually providing that. Unfortunately, it still resulted in them taking more losses than wins. But when you look at a lane to actually play through, their mid laners haven't necessarily shown much confidence in being able to dominate lane phases, and bot lane has been mixed results all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
So we've looked for Taco with his unique champion pool, and for No Name with, you know, some interesting things as well, like we saw yesterday with the Nasus up in the top lane.
Yeah, I think there are a couple surprises we could yet see coming out here. Oh, speaking of surprises, that Seraphine ban away. That's something that we saw Deep Cross Gaming pull out yesterday to great success. And if you don't know what we're talking about, go back and watch that VOD. Definitely got time. Maybe not right now, a little bit later. It'll be a whole week after this as the Silas is banned away. So the focus for MFT does seem to be trying to get rid of some strong top side picks and maybe give Taco a better chance at that lane. Worth pointing out, we didn't actually get to see in the stats, both top laners do the majority of their team's damage, about 30% apiece. That's huge.
And the trend also continues that No Name just gets his Darius banned away. I think it's been 100% ban rate against Sem9, which is very interesting.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It has been 100% banned against on either side of the. Well, I think they've only really played red side so far.
So, you know, No Name, even though Sem9 have not won a game at all, he's getting massive respect ban. And they're going for Gnar and Sejuani. This is a very early Sejuani pick. So this reeks of, hey, we've already shown our top laner, so you should expect this going into the jungle, but I feel like we're going to see it into the mid lane.
Yeah, I'm actually curious because we've seen Sejuani support before, and I feel like if your job is to hold the lane, maybe provide some roaming, which is something we expect Ashin to be able to do potentially to help out either of his side lanes. That's possible, so I do like this potential flex here. MFT, for their part, going for a very safe bot lane, very pokey bot lane in the Ezreal Karma. Technically could be Karma mid. You never know.
Yep. And this Lucian hover is really interesting because usually you want to pair up the Lucian with the Nami, but no doubt it's going to get banned away in the second phase. So this is also yet another interesting take coming in from Sem9. We've seen them try and take some weird stances in drafts, especially something like yesterday where it didn't look like it was set to lock in an Nasus at the very end, but it did end up coming through. And unfortunately, the composition or the rest of the draft, even though the Sem9 draft looked like it panned out for the Nasus to do well against the other squad, they just didn't have enough factors in that it really worked against them. So in the second phase, they've already gone ahead, banned away the Corki. I would assume they ban away an Azir as well. These scaling mid laners that can also really outwork you in the mid game.
Yeah, there's a victor still on the table if all goes according to the same plan. But we'll have to see for MFT right now. They do have some scaling on their side in that Ezreal, but it's not one of those hyper scalers, you know, that we saw a lot last split, especially the Aphelios, the Jinx, those types of champions. So I don't think it's as much of a concern. I'm curious to see if the Shidodo Philia bot lane can beat Whale an issue, because neither have really been considered some of our top performing bot lanes in a field that is fairly stacked. As the KO ban, Arashi fairly excited about that, it seemed. Yeah.
Definitely respect ban.
You got to.
Directed towards Taco. Currently with the Gnar, this is a pick that you can take into any matchup, but also a lot of champions, you can practically pick any champion to go into Gnar as well. So it's very mixed bag. The Nami's still left available here, so they're actually comfortable letting it through. And for the side of Sem9, with the Kale ban, they also haven't factored in Taco's Silas. So I can possibly see MFT just going ahead, locking in the Silas here. But clearly, you know, you're going to lock in the Nami
they do have the Sem9 side.
Yeah, exactly.
Phase 1. Yeah.
Oh,
but that's a Nami pick.
Yeah.
I mean, they just full on don't give any information away here, right? Because we could still see this being a jungle Sejuani.
Yep.
It could be mid and they could flex something at the last minute, but there were no further jungle bans. So I kind of like what Sem9 are doing here. They're using the uncertainty to their advantage. Question is, what does MFT build into this comp, right? Like the Gwen, okay, it makes sense. You have a fair bit of damage and scaling. It's pretty AP heavy. Is it just going for scaling?
That'll be the question. This again, it could just be a Karma into the mid lane. The Ornn's being hovered. I highly doubt it's going to get locked in unless Wen wants to play it, which wouldn't be bad either, given that it is going to be Wen, Ashen. Maybe you just pick some sort of big scaling champion. So that will actually get locked in, denying away from.
Is this Ornn? Is this Ornn support? And like,
I would assume it's going to be Ornn mid.
Okay, all right.
It would fit the bill for what Wen does occasionally play. And this would mean, yeah, this is just going to be a tank matchup in the mid lane.
All right, let's go. Bruisers. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. With the Trundle jungle, we have seen it be very polarizing, in all honesty. I think certain comps don't do well with it. This comp, I feel like it's not terrible.
Yeah. It's a solid facilitator in this instance. Plays very well with the Sejuani here because of the passive interaction, being able to get the Sejuani stuns off pretty quickly. However, it's going to be hard to see what lane they necessarily attack really hard here. Maybe they try and pick on Wen, because if he tries to get out with the headbutt, you throw up the pillar right behind him, and he crashes his head into the wall. And it's very possible, or for the side of Sem9, I feel like this is a draft that gives them a lot of agency in attacking these lanes and trying to snowball in the early game, which is one way you can beat MFT. This is a team that has dropped a lot in the early game.
Absolutely, and I really like that Sem9's done their homework, but their issue has always been about the execution. I do think this change they've made, we've seen Lazar fall off a little bit, even though there were lane improvements, and the LeBlanc the other day did not quite do so well. So with Asin subbing into the mid and bringing back their old support Philia, we'll see if this is the secret sauce to get Sem9 their first win in the PCS period. This is a team that has not found a win just yet. They unfortunately had the dubious distinction of going 0-18 in spring, but it is a new day. And MFT, they've struggled mightily. I think this is an opportunity. We'll see if it is going to be enough. On the MFT side, they've got a lot of some power picks up on the solo lanes, I'll say, and the Viego always has pop-up potential. But how do you feel about these picks in the hands of their respective players, Nightstar?
Yeah, I think for MFT, these are picks that sort of just fit how their players like to play. You know, Wen is more of a utility player. He's definitely not a hard carry. So they want to use him, and especially in this softer mid lane matchup, you can just go for scaling and play for your side lanes. So I like this option here. Taco is on the big Gwen carry, and in this instance, it's really hard to see how they punish this Gwen pick. So it's going to be all about this bot lane, I feel, for the side of Sem9, and play through the mid lane, of course, as well with the Sejuani.
Absolutely. Well, we are on to the Rift for the first time tonight. We will want to keep our eye in that top lane matchup. That was the one that we featured in our head-to-head stats comparison. No name on the Gnar up against the side of Taco's Gwen, who's going for the Ghost as well. So not the Ignite all-in countering Gwen. It is going to be a little bit more aggressive, trying to chase things down. Curious to see
scaling.
If Wen can get that roam off. Yeah, I mean, I like that it's an Ornn versus a Sejuani, because they can both just kind of make their moves wherever they'd like to go. And I feel like for Sem9, a good strategy is going to try to funnel resources up top. For Jidodo and Philia, like, you're giving yourselves Lucian Nami. It's one of the best lanes you can get in the lane phase, even though you are up against an Ezreal and Karma, which is going to be a little hard to get the 2v2 kill on.
Yeah, the Karma helps out this lane quite a bit, and just allowing them to deal with the minion pressure that would normally come out from the Lucian Nami being able to, hey, we push up, get level 2 very early, but against Karma, of course, she RQs the backline, and it helps you out considerably. So that's exactly what happens here. And yeah, while they are going to have kill pressure with this combination, it is hard to do when Karma is able to keep the lane state relatively even or push back against it.
Exactly. I feel like this is a pretty safe lane for Whale Issue. You talked about comfort. You talked about how the team had built themselves a comp they can kind of just cruise into the late game with if Sem9 don't give them too much grief. But that is going to be on Sem9 to do. And I think one of the big parts of that is going to be Arashi. We're checking in on the jungler. Trundle has been a jungler we've seen have very high highs and very, very low lows. And it's going to be important to see how and where he gets involved.
Yeah. And most of the Trundle value will, of course, come through the fact that when Wen does go in, he'll be able to steal a bunch of stats. So the pick makes somewhat sense. The issue is, of course, the pillar really only has an impact on that Ornn. No one else is going to have too much issue, or at least from the carries, right? Because Gwen can just kind of sprint through it with the Ghost, and she's got a dash. And then, you know, the Viego can jump right over it as well. And Ezreal, we know what Ezreal does. He just kind of hop skips and a jump nonstop. So the Trundle pillar, which I would say is more emphasis on his utility, isn't going to be as helpful as you'd like.
Ooh, yeah, get spotted. There we go. Pretty safe. Meanwhile, Renhao getting involved down bottom. You gotta be careful. Ooh, heal. And Ignite already burned. This is gonna turn into a 3v2. Philia, Jidodo had no idea that was coming.
Oh, that's
as
Total.
It's first and second blood. Big gold coming in for the MFT bot side. Meanwhile, in mid, they continue to tangle, but that should be the end of it.
Yeah, and then that was a really nicely executed kill. And for the side of MFT, they get those kills, but at the same time, like Sem9, like, you showed your jungler top lane, and then immediately you took the trade into that bottom half. That's just a big laning mistake. And when we talk about Philia, we talk more about, hey, he is able to create a little bit more during the lane phase, but unfortunately, they just didn't read the map well enough. And they get heavily punished for this. And like, this is a trade you would go for, but unfortunately, like, Red House just there. And part
Yeah,
of that is because you threw your Trundle topside.
Not only that, they'd already burned an Ignite and a heal, like, aggressively to try and get the play. Like, the Killer Instinct is one thing, but you have to be on the same page as your team. So very clearly, some issues there. Taco,
good stun.
getting popped by No Name for a second, and he was on the edge of the mist. No Name gets the solo kill, but Renow's looking for revenge as he throws down the Harrowed Path.
Speed.
No Name going to try to buy a little time, needs a hop, a skip, a jump, something.
Yep, he's
Still
waiting
has
for the
that
jump.
flash as he tries to play for it. There we go, and burns it. And he's going to get away. Oh, No Name.
And that was really, really well done coming in from No Name. This is why, you know, we kind of highlighted the player. And this is also why Sem9 have focused a lot of their draft resources on making sure this player gets what he wants. So, great start for Sem9 up in the top side. And for Taco, that's really, really unfortunate because he loses a good chunk of experience, even though death timers are really short. He still lost a decent chunk of experience to that tower, and that means it's going to set him behind a little bit on that level 6 timing. So look for No Name to get level 6, go for Meganar, play really, really quickly.
Yeah, No Name doesn't actually spend his teleport to get back to lane either as the wave was pushed against him. He just ends up as, well, we'll talk about that in a second, as Philly is getting taken quite low in this one. Whale and Issue have been playing very aggressive since securing that first kill. So nicely done on there. Both bot laners actually having a kill in their column, accelerating their goal just a little bit as Renhao set them up for success. Meanwhile, speaking of Renhao, he's coming back to return. Once again, it will be a 3v3 though with the Trundle in the mix.
Trundle's here, yeah.
I think he sees that one. They're going to try to cut him off at the pass. This is the push. They actually turn immediately onto Arashi and find the kill just outside tower range before Ashin can get there. Well done by MFT.
Yeah, really well done there. Just MFT having an understanding that they could just go for this play yet again. And
it's a good push.
This wave control has been a big issue. Shiododo and Velia, yes, you can look for trades, but after a certain point, even if Whale and Issue take a bad trade, all of a sudden they can just reset the lane very easily for them because they just RQ backline, and then you can't trade anymore because you have to fight minions.
Oh yeah. Right now, I don't think he saw that Red was in smiteable range. Might have been able to take it away, but doesn't. As he just sends a parting shot towards Arashi. And the focus does seem to be for Sem9 towards topside. They really should be. I think Arashi has been a little split as he was really just kind of caught farming and then tried to get involved and ended up getting himself caught. But it's a really good push effort from MFT's bot side. They've been able to get a massive lead in gold, plates, as well as kills. Sem9, win condition probably is going to be try to accelerate No Name here. As Renhao finds Ajin, forces the flash. They get the knock-up on the second cast there. It's going to be enough to do some damage, but Arashi's here! And they're going to try to turn their attention over to Wen once again, getting the stun knock off. Issue on the roam, though. That's going to force the flashes back defensively. Ajin has almost no mana and almost no health. Issue will finally finish him off with an auto attack of all things.
Yeah, and having level 6, okay, up top.
Alright, Taco's trying to cut No Name down to size, look for revenge, and he will get it! The Narbar was not quite there. Taco with the solo kill firing back. Now it's coming up MFT with a 2,500 gold lead across the board.
Immediately they strike back, and Taco showing why. Gwen still very, very powerful. And of course, even though Gnar is, you know, relatively solid all around, it's just so punishable in a lot of other phases. He does everything okay, nothing great. And here we see the difference between a level 6 Renhao and the level 5 Arashi. He's able to do so much work, but these are all kills if he's able to stay in line and with the EXP and be able to hit level 6. Unfortunately, I'm able to do so, and it's that extra little bit of edge and stats that make all the difference.
Yeah, Arashi does ding 6, but yeah, not having that subjugate really hurt last time around. Asian does join him for a little cheeky play at the Baron Pit, grabbing themselves the Rift Herald. So, able to make it happen. It was very close, and you could see the Sejuani Trundle synergy really paying off. They nearly got the kill. It actually took Issue getting involved to turn the tide there for Meta Falcon team. So despite the gold lead of about 3,000, pretty hefty at this point in the game, Sem9, they're fighting, they're making plays, but they are losing ground here. Blue buff completely muscled away from them and getting denied. Ashin's not going to worry about that too much. It's a Sejuani mid, you don't really care, but Arashi having his jungle stolen does feel bad. And now Prio on the Drake pit does mean Sem9 are going to have a hard time getting involved to keep that Drake stack.
Yeah, the big thing...
Oh. It's going to be a lot of damage. They stack the CC. Spectral Maw landing. Ashin has no flash. Tries for the Arctic Assault, but they follow through as Renhao even getting a kill for himself. Sem9, they're just dropping way too fast.
They're not giving themselves a chance. And now...
Uh-oh.
Renhao's taking
the Sejuani. They're actually going to go very far, but wait, he just feeds the kill right back? Yeah, what was that?
That was definitely... the issue was he started tanking the tower way too early. He didn't wait for Wen to get the ult damage or R2 actually channeled through. So he takes 2 tower shots before they're even really ready to dive. And as a result...
I think I figured out what happened, Nightstar.
Okay.
Renhao bought his Divine Thunder. I think he just forgot that this wasn't ARAM.
Oh,
that you actually can back.
I mean,
you just wanted to get a buy fast. Yeah, exactly. It's a lot faster way to fountain.
Indeed, it is. But now, you know, giving them a little bit of gold isn't actually going to make that much of a difference, right? Because there's such a stark difference in the mid lane and in this bottom lane. But more fighting.
Here we go. It's actually 3v4. Here comes the wave. Issue taken low, burning down. They'll actually turn their attention over to Renhao as they manage to get the kill. Jidodo follows through for the finishers. Wen is getting involved now. These are such
Whale.
crazy fights. Whale just
Whale's
outplays, and he sends out the big true shot barrage. So the second wind effort goes in favor of MFT as Filia, out of mana and out of time, falls down. A double kill comes through for Wen as well. The cleanup effort is huge, and that's going to transition straight into the Drake.
And Jidodo just tunnels in on killing the Karma, and because of that he invests so many resources and cooldowns that he's unable to get away from the Ezreal afterwards. And this is a matchup that should be heavily Lucian favored. As we get to see the start of this, the numbers were in their advantage at the start for the side of Sem9, but they just get really split. Like he gets that kill, yes, but now he's like spending the entire time running away. Afterwards, that means Whale just gets to rejoin the fight and he's able to contribute. And that sort of makes all the difference in that instance. If he was able to zone them off and then turn for the rest of the fight, I think that would have looked a lot better, but the action just doesn't stop.
Okay, what's the issue?
The issue, well, you could say for Sem9, the issue is gone. Gone. Dead. Into the shadow.
This is a weird game. This has been, I have to say, this game has had some very questionable moments and calls from both teams, but you can't deny,
yes,
that is entertaining.
It is definitely been very entertaining. Unfortunately for the side of Sem9, they are still very down in gold. With the plug-in from Ashin, it does feel like their movements across the map have gotten a little bit better, which we didn't exactly see before, but when he wants to fight.
Yep. As the wave, though, it's only going to stop Renhao for just a sec. The bubble dodged out. No Name going to come and join the fray here as the True Shot Barrage clips a couple members. That was actually first brick, though, off the Herald drop for Sem9. Surprising, given everything that's happened. Whale is going to answer back as he was completely uncontested down bot. Whale is starting to stack up a lot of kills, but let's take a look at what caused Issue to bite the big one. Hubris. The answer was hubris.
This is a little bit far from home.
Great
far from home and by himself. So that was all around really bad. But now you look at Whale, he just got himself a full solo tower gold right down in that bottom lane. So he's got a lot of money to play with. Yeah, he's very close to finishing his Manamune into the Muramana transformation. And on the flip side, yes, Jidodo does now have the Gale Force, but he's a little bit slow on the curve here.
Yeah. he's not gonna have nearly as much value in the late game, right? I mean, I think Sem9 are gonna depend very heavily on like just layering CC, getting a big Gnar ultimate, like. But Gnar is not gonna be your main damage dealer, right? So, I mean, maybe he is in this comp, but that's a problem in and of
He
itself.
almost has to be here.
Yeah,
of course
MFT. We talked about how they have a scaling comp, and they're scaling pretty fast.
Yup. And okay, making a play here. Pillar has to be good. It is.
All right, good knockup. They do force the flash out. Narbar incoming. So they have the damage in time. They do get the Gnar against the wall, but not on the same page as Arashi running. Look at all those tower shots he tanked. No Name's still getting involved, but I think they're running out of time here. And yeah, Arashi says, no, bro, we don't got this. Meanwhile, push onto the mid to get the stun off onto Arashi. Yeah, that was a good second effort from MFT, and Sem9 just pushing their luck.
It was a nice attempt. Unfortunately, you're trying to gank an Ornn, and if you're trying to CC him, the problem is he can immune that very, very easily. And he times it perfectly. They will go for a return visit.
Got Taco. Look at the level differential, though, between him and Arashi at the moment, and Ajin. So Gwen can't quite hop the wall. Good deny on the pillar. They will get kill credit back as this game just continues to be bonkers. Dodo nearly bites it as well. 16 kills in just under 16 minutes, Nightstar. We have got ourselves a full PCS. Well, it's not an ARAM, but it's an all-over-the-map RAM.
Yeah. It's a Fiesta.
Fiesta is resistance for sure. This is very exciting, but a big lead still for MFT, including the scaling battle. They will be able to get the tower in mid and keep on rolling. But yeah, I don't know how this will end because neither team have decided to back down from any challenge.
Yeah, and so this feels very, you know, Spring Split-esque, right? Where we're having a lot of these skirmishes set up rather than the full-blown team fight. And MFT, of course, this is a much more battle-tested squad. It's really, really showing in this instance. They get the stop onto Whale's back, which is actually relatively important because now Whale, he has to go recall, but Dragon's about to spawn in 5 seconds, so Sem9, they have priority on this piece of ground, so they're going to get first dibs onto the Dragon. Now, for the side of MFT, are they able to stall?
Yeah, Taco looking for the flank right now. They might be able to find this. It is technically a 4v5 as No Name is yet to get called. Here comes the call to Forge God as Taco trying to chase on Dragon, all but forgotten.
Find a lot of time!
Got somebody down, but no, Red How opens up with the first fire. You can see Taco just doing so much work as the rest of Sem9 scatter, and the Dragon doesn't even fully reset as they take it down. Nicely done. Taco gonna run face first in to Ashin, who was just lucky enough to get away before he got taken down again. Taco has been frontlining exceptionally well this game.
He's been really putting himself out there. Did get picked off, you know, once in that bottom lane, then once up in that top side early on. But that first team fight does very, very well. And of course, this is exactly what Gwen brings to the table. And the issue for Sem9 was, while the thought was there, right? We stopped the back of Whale. That means they don't have their really, really strong AD carry for this Dragon fight. The issue was their top laner wasn't quite there. So this ends up being a 4v4. And
yeah, what's No Name doing? He's like, he's out in space at the moment. He doesn't
No
even get
Name's
here
out
until
in
the
no
fight's
man's
over.
land, and the issue, or the problem is, he doesn't have Mega Gnar ready as well. So just unfortunately, No Name with his Narbar timing just didn't line up with what the rest of his squad wanted to do. And this is the other issue of Gnar, is that it feels like sometimes these fights have to be just so perfect for Gnar to actually have an impact, because he has to get there in time, has to have Narbar lined up, and then the other team also has to play into his Mega Gnar. And in that situation, really none of those situations line up.
Yeah, it feels like what we're seeing from Sem9 right now is just a bit of communication problem. So we know they've made a couple of changes on the roster as well, but this is a squad that I think we expect a little bit more from in that regard. Like they seem to at least be trying some things, but the execution level has been falling off. Yes, it's still a winless squad. Yes, they're at the bottom of the table, but I think they've gotten a little lost in the sauce, and that's part of the problem in MFT. now that they kind of have the tempo advantage, not to mention the fact that they scale infinitely better, it kind of feels like they can just do whatever they want on the map.
For the side of Sem9 now, the only way to get back into this is find some sort of play around this Gnar. Maybe he is able to... I think he's going for Black Cleaver for his next
gotta
item.
Find it fast.
But yeah, this is going to be a crash onto the tier 3 and some good damage.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, not able to
that's
take it down because they don't have, you know, great ability to just auto that tower. That's the nice thing about the Sem9 composition is it does bring a decent amount of CC.
That's true. If they can layer it, if they can get the 5v5, if they can improve that coordination, there's maybe a chance they can do it. But now at the 20-minute mark, we're starting to get into the late game. It's a massive gold advantage. Oh boy. About 6.5K ahead of Sem9. Not to mention the Dragon Stack building. It will be a Cloud Rift, of course. And look at who hasn't died in this game yet. It's the Ezreal and the Ornn. The Ornn is fed.
The Ornn is very, very fed, which is yet another problem. Usually you don't talk about, hey, fed Ornn being able to carry game, but here, with how strong he is, yes, you do have that Trundle ultimate to help cut down some of those resistances. Oh, that's a whiff.
Glacial Prism does
that's
not
gonna
land.
get turned.
Sin taken down.
Oh,
Half his hit points. The rest of the team does arrive. True Shot Barrage gonna clip. I mean, that was a numbers advantage for Sem9, so MFT don't quite push too far.
Yep.
Ooh, Taco going back to the buy. Just get himself a Nashor's Tooth.
Big purchase there as well for him. And Sem9. You gotta appreciate that they are fishing for these plays, right? That Ashin on this Sejuani is able to at least go for some of these Hail Marys. Unfortunately, he is very, very far behind, and when it comes to these team fights, he's not going to be a large value without his ultimate.
Okay, they land a bubble onto Wen as he was stuck in the back of Baron Pit, and this is going to give MFT pause. They
going to
peel
reset
off. Yeah, reset the Baron. So win for Sem9. But they stopped that with minimal investment. It was just more or less just Shidodo's ultimate.
So that's a nice little play, being able to solve things out. But again, MFT aren't in a hurry. They definitely are very comfortable with this spot in the game, and Whale is very comfortable just playing very far forward. Even though, if you ever expose your Ezreal 1v1 with an Ignite Lucian, I would say as long as they're matching items, and maybe if Ezreal's only half an item ahead, I would still give the advantage towards the Lucian in the 1v1. But in these team fights, that Lucian's losing a lot of his effectiveness.
Yeah, and Whale has done really good at positioning this game. I do think when I talked about Shidodo and Felia maybe being able to give them some trouble, I think we really underestimated Whale on this Ezreal. You know, they played a relatively safe and pokey lane. I think Issue has been very aggressive on the Karma, and it's worked out for them. But this is an Ezreal that has never really been under major threat, and he's been able to get gold funneled into him in the form of plates and also a handful of kills. So he has been ahead for the most part, and it's been on Shidodo to try and catch up. The rookie bot lane has not really been able to have the same level of impact. On the opposite side of the map, No Name, you know, we're looking for that win condition. The Black Cleaver complete, picks up another Phage as well. But when the Gnar is dishing out the majority of your damage, it is somewhat concerning. There's always the possibility, there's always the upside, but I don't think they can afford to have him separate from the team for as long as they did at that Dragon Pit. Like, he's got to spend those teleports faster, or he's got to be with the squad.
Yeah, so I think with Sem9, the issue right now, or the issue with this game in the draft phase, again, feels like they were a little bit too transparent with how they wanted to play the game. The early Sejuani, while it could have been a flex pick, or you know, it showed up as a flex pick, I think both sides knew, you know, this was going into the hand of Ashin. He's a support moving into mid lane. Don't give him anything too tricky. But now Sem9, can they find a miracle?
They would need it for the steal right now. It's 3v4. Taco jumping the wall to keep eyes on Arashi as the pillar does come down. They're going to try to wrap around here and distract, but I don't know if they're going to be able to pull it off here. Shidodo's come through. They catch Wen on the side, but that Baron's getting very low to about 3,000 hit points. Here's the teleport. They're going to
they're resetting
MFT
it
off,
again.
and maybe they can take the fight. The Baron is resetting, and No Name keeps it aggroed right now. Maybe they can turn for this as the Narvar is incoming. The back is not yet completed for Taco. He does have access to the teleport should he need it. This is the chance. Sem9, they realize they have an opportunity. Bubble comes down. Arashi is so low, needs to smite. Does take it, and here goes Renhao. Is going to get at least one reset. No Name buying a little bit of time, but the rest of the team has decided to sacrifice both Shidodo and No Name. They get out with 3 members on the Baron.
And they managed to yoink one back right there. They get themselves 2 big objective bounties. They get the turret bounty down in that bot lane. But of course, these objective or monster objective bounties are even larger, and they're able to secure that one. That bounces the gold quite a bit back. It's not quite enough to overcome this lead right now, but it's definitely a start. We get to see the replay, they get vision, and then they go ahead, channel in that teleport right when the ward goes over the wall. They know they are kind of getting sectioned out, but for MFT, there's not enough focus. They are a little bit indecisive on what they want to do. They want to try and chip Arashi down on the side, but they also want to try and focus down the Baron a little bit. But I mean, the attention's just way too split. However, the reset onto the fight, while Sem9 do get the objective, and that was their clear goal, right? You're sending members all across the board to try and act as a distraction. As a result, the resulting fight is just very easily won by MFT because they have the full health bars coming in from the teleport return from Taco, and now they're the ones pushing in against the Baron.
They are. No Name about to hit that Meganar, though. Does dodge a fair bit of CC. Here comes the Nami wave, and it's going to be split away as the call the Forge God comes through. Wen gets stunned up, does manage to send it right on back despite that.
Anyways,
so
tanky.
The fight is on.
It's so tanky.
Wen just gets a big old knock up into Taco, and Renhao finding the damage on the opposite side, but it's turning. It's a big old bruiser fest here in the mid lane, and Shidodo getting yoinked in, flashing away. It's all a bait. It's all calculated. Wen so low, but he gets out of it. I can't believe nobody dies.
Oh my god, Shidodo almost makes a big play. Renhao.
Heartbreaker, and it was a heartbreak as Renhao gets popped up. Not quite
so
going
close.
Down from the Ardent Blaze, though. And man, MFT, they just get out by the skin of their teeth. But this is Sem9 finding an opportunity to find the fight. That Baron buff certainly putting some value in, not letting MFT push this too deep.
Yeah, really, really important there. They took that fight with some of those Baron minions helping them out. Adding a little bit extra damage, and the Baron buff stats helping as well. So Sem9 still putting up a struggle, and it is able to stick just a little bit. We do need them to actually be able to find a pick, and that's the big issue. Because Karma, Ezreal,
the front line's huge here.
Very, very hard to pick off, and Wen is just insanely tanky. Look at those items. Got so much armor stacked up, and once he finishes his tier item, he's going to be even more difficult to take down. As pulling the dragon,
shredded.
I don't think they're in 9.
No, they're definitely not right now. Here comes the call of the Forge God. It's going to not really go the direction they wanted.
Shidodo is so swift.
Realize there's no prize to take here, and No Name is running out of Narvar. Shidodo completely out, and oh no, Asin. He goes the wrong way, and he gets gifted to Whale. Oh boy, that is soul.
He distracted
for MFT.
He sacrifices himself to keep the rest of his team alive. I think the rest of the team definitely would have died if he didn't split off. So it's a relatively worthwhile trade, but MFT, they got what they came for, right? The Sejuani pick afterwards is really just a cherry on top. The main objective was just secure that Dragon Soul, and they've done it. Cloud Soul going to be making things even more frustrating for the side of Sem9, because now the slow coming in from the pillar isn't going to be as effective, and the extra move speed is also allowing them to kite things out against things like the Nami passive, giving extra move speed there. And now Renhao will say hello to Arashi, but again, Arashi with this Trundle pick isn't able to pick off people anymore. because of how much mobility is on, and now they want to fight.
Yeah, speaking of picking off, look at Taco with the flank side
Goodbye,
right now.
Filia.
Filia just gets deleted off the map. Taco still on the chase and trying to give Arashi a little bit more than a haircut. Forces to flash away, and with the knockup, they will be able to secure the next kill, and they keep on chasing. Wen just does not care about turret damage, and the rest of his team isn't too fussed either. No Name is pushing tier 2 in the bot, but he's missed the memo that his entire team has died.
No way from home.
Yeah, that's two movies in one apparently.
Yeah.
But I think this one we're going to see the credits pretty soon. Nightstar MFT are looking to push this in for the win, looking for a number 2 on the board. No Name is up, but he's out of Narbar.
Yep.
And Philly is back up as well. And this is going to be the tower cut through so much damage at the 30-minute mark, and they just can't do anything but watch it go goodbye. As they just chase them away, don't even need the kills. His issue flashes away, trying to keep his KDA a little bit better.
Save the KDAs!
That's gonna be lights out. 30 minutes on the clock. Meta Falcon team take the victory.
Pretty stock standard from the get-go. MFT just outworking the side of Sem9 in these skirmishes, and yeah, this was going to be the highlight. That even though Ashin moving into the mid lane, it felt very similar to what we saw Ashin in the support role, right? He just drops way too much priority in the lane. He's able to play more for the team and help them out when it came to rotations, and it looked good. They were in places that they should have been. So movements on the map improved. But there's only so much you can do when your mid laner is just 50 CS behind, especially against an Ornn who just gets to free farm. Ornn's typically that weak side laner, but when he gets resources, it means he gets the experience. That means he gets his upgrades faster. There's a giant gold value snowball that comes out when Ornn does get his resources funneled into him.
Right, and you know, you talk about weak side, normally we're talking like a top comparison where there's a lot more carries coming up there too. In the mid lane, it's like a whole different story. It's a shorter lane. You can try and set up those ultimates to 6 a little easier. And at the same time, he was up against another tank, right? And a Sejuani that we normally see top side that, like, yeah, you can set up combos, but I think the jungle mid synergy was just a lot better. And this is one of the side effects of swapping into that mid side for Ashin, is that wasn't on the same page as his jungler, but we saw Renhao really delivering. And I think this honestly speaks to why MFT have been playing Renhao in the jungle as a former support player. His Viego looked really good this game. I think he knew exactly what he needed to do to try and get some resets. His lanes did make it easy for him, but they set things up. Top lane looked like it was going to get sacked for a bit. No Name was having his way with Taco for a little while, but things turned around. The solo kill came through. I think Viego really helped out on the top and on the mid, and bottom, like Whale and Issue, they were fine. They really didn't get pushed in by the Lucian Nami. So I think Sem9 had a good draft and they gave themselves options. They just didn't have the skill to execute it or the communication to try and force the map movements that they wanted to. It's an ambitious team, but unfortunately, they still have to go home hungry. They still will not find a win in week 2.
Yeah, clearly from this draft, it should have been more about Arashi playing from top to bottom, or with his starting pathing, make sure this Lucian Nami does get an opportunity to try and find a kill. And unfortunately, they missed that timing. The moment the first kill goes in favor of the Ezreal Karma, then things really start to fall apart. So it's really just syncing up the roster. Yes, Ashin able to play around with Arashi was really nice. But unfortunately, their main win condition, that bot lane of Lucian Nami, they didn't recognize it apparently strong enough. And when that win condition falls apart, everything else just cascades out of control too.
And this is why comfort, when it comes to your lanes and your champion choices, is usually a good thing if all else is equal. And it worked out well for MFT. I don't think anybody really had a rough time in lane. Like, there was the solo kill on Taco, but he bounced back really well with a little help from Viego. Everybody had a pretty good time on the MFT side. That's not something we've been able to say this split very often. And you can see it in the gold graph, right? There was a very, very small moment in the game early on, I believe it was First Blood, where Sem9 were ahead of the curve, but nope. After that, kind of started getting out of hand for him. And even with the Baron takeaway, I liked what Sem9 were doing there. They still lost a bit much. The indecision is still a bit of a problem, and maybe this team just needs a little bit of time if they stay with this composition. But for now, Whale is the MVP of the game for MFT, and he really just made it look easy. Did not die on Ezreal. 6 kills, 9 assists. Feels pretty good, man, when you can sit in the back line and just chuck out Mystic shots.
35% of the damage there, so
Ooh,
really
boy.
showcases
Yeah.
that he was left
Or
untouched.
mid, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or mid, but you know, you still have a damage up in the top lane, right?
That's true,
Gwen,
that's true.
so
Hey, Taka was frontlining. It was
Yes.
fine. I think this is a comp that worked well for them, right? Like
Yeah.
the old MFT, we were seeing a lot more of the wombo combos. This time around, I think they found a winning strategy. The question is, does it work against other opponents?
And the other thing was, like, when MFT were dropping games with Renhao at the roster, it was because the other team was doing really, really well in keeping track of Renhao. So they would put wards of where he started and make sure they knew wherever he went. This time around, they didn't really set up pre-game vision onto where Renhao was, and he was left to do his thing. And we saw there, like, Renhao is actually a relatively competent jungler, and he's able to do it against one of the, you know, the better players on Sem9 as well.
Yeah, congratulations to MFT. They lock in their second win on the split. But we are going on a quick break. Don't go anywhere. When we return, Impunity will take on Mega Bank Beyond Game.